Hey guys! Any 30-year-old engine without a rebuild is bound to have some oil leaks here and there, and Miatas unfortunately are not an exception. Although my 1.6 liter is in great health otherwise, and I got the dyno sheet to prove it, it is leaking from no fewer than 4 different spots on the engine. I learned a ton while trying to address them, so today I wanted to talk to you about what you might be in for when you notice that dreaded brown oil drip on your driveway. Starting from top of the engine, we got the camshaft angle sensor, or the CAS, O-ring, and the valve cover gasket. These two are obviously two different parts, but if you have a leak in one, you might as well replace the other one proactively as well, since the CAS cannot be serviced without taking off the valve cover. The CAS is used to adjust ignition timing on these engines, but they're notorious for leaking oil out of the back of the engine. And as for the valve cover, if it was taken off at some point, it may be leaking due to improper use of, or the lack of, silicone gasket around these indicated areas. Both of these things are pretty easily replaced though. The only difficult part might be trying to remove the ignition coil, which attaches itself to the engine near the firewall, and there's a bolt back there that took me no less than 30 minutes to finagle out. Still near the top of the engine are the two camshaft seals in the front behind the camshaft gears. These are a little harder to service, as you do need to remove basically everything out of the front of the engine, including accessory belts, front engine covers, timing belt, and a few other things. These are good to address when you're in for a timing belt replacement anyway, as it's not that much more work above and beyond that. You just remove the camshaft sprockets and you'll find the two seals right behind them. If you don't see oil marks below these seals, I wouldn't bother replacing them, as novices might end up causing leaks where there are none to begin with. But if they're leaking already like mine, do use the right tools to easily remove the seals without scratching the seating surface, and should be easy from there. Moving towards the bottom of the engine, but still remaining at the front, is the front crankshaft seal. This one sits behind the crankshaft sprocket, and this one is a pretty big pain in the neck to get to, since you not only have to remove, in addition to everything else, the crankshaft bolt that's been on there for probably 30 years, and the sprocket is also probably rusted stuck onto the nose of the crankshaft. But if you're in there for a timing belt change anyway, you might as well replace it if you do notice an oil leak. If you have a 1.6 liter Shortnose crankshaft like I do, you might want to actually take the sprocket off to check if the nose of the crank and the Woodruff key are in good shape, as it was a common issue that they would become damaged over time. I'll leave a link in the description if you do want to read up about that issue. There are a couple of other areas worth noting, like the oil pan gasket and the rear crank seal, but we're not really going to cover them here in depth because, well, the oil pan is not for the faint-hearted. It cannot be taken off for servicing without either pulling up on the engine or removing most of the front suspension and steering components. As for the rear crank seal or the rear main seal, it cannot be accessed without disconnecting the transmission, which the next time you need to change your clutch anyway, I guess you can take a look while you're in there. Hopefully that was helpful. If you have any experience with these engines and if you think I missed something, do leave a comment for everyone else down below. Check out my playlist of other Miata tech tips and projects. Be nice to each other, have fun, and until next time.